everyone, and welcome back to The Journey. I'm your host, Tiffany Ervin, and I'm here with Mr. Innocent Wamey of VIPsocio. Welcome back. I'm so happy to have you back here on the show with us.
Well, thank you. You know, it's always a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you so much. So today we're going to go into a little bit more detail about the how in regards to the series that we're doing in regard to entrepreneur life and what it takes to be successful. So we talked a little bit about the why. The last time we saw you here on the show, you gave us some great tips, some examples of how you've overcome a lot of challenges and being an entrepreneur, as well as how your life and lifestyle has influenced you.
Yeah.
Today I want to talk about the how. In regards to execution, everybody has ideas, everybody has plans, but the most important part is the how. So in your personal opinion and from your experience, let's just divulge in how do they become successful? How do you execute the plan?
Well, you know, everybody out there notice problems. Some might conceive a solution for it, but it actually takes, like we talked last time, some courage to actually put it out. Right. So when I think about my own journey or our journey on VIPsocio, I think there are about 5 things that I want to talk about.
Okay.
In terms of actually getting to your execution phase.
Okay.
We are a tech startup, so primarily the first thing that as a tech startup is you have to build that ability to be able to create the technology.
Right.
To be able to put it out in a user-friendly manner, and that's the key. Mm-hmm. To build a technology that is going to be user-friendly.
Right. Because that's the one thing I hate. Yeah. When someone has some type of app, some type of any device, whether it's a computer, I hate when I'm so confused as to how to go forward. So that's a great point to bring up.
Yeah. So that technology part, for me, that was a little easier because I spent 18 years in corporate America.
Right.
Building multi-billion-dollar technology for other companies.
Right.
AT&T, Hitachi Telecom, Mobile Networks, and finally Cisco Systems. So that knowledge actually helped me.
Right.
So I might be 1 out of 1,000 or 1 out of 100,000 because I do have that knowledge. I do understand the development cycle.
Right.
But for most people out there, that understanding is not there.
Right.
Right. So your first hurdle is that you have a great idea. You actually have to go out and look for a team of people that can execute on your vision.
Right.
That is really key. If they do not understand your vision, if they do not understand the value proposition, like what value you're going to add to your customer and the type of user experience you want to have, they will probably not be able to build exactly what you want, or you might have a great idea but it does not translate.
Right.
So it takes a lot, and you might try certain developers and they don't work, and you have to move to other developers, and you have to also study.
Right.
You have to have an understanding of there's a user interface, there's the back end, there's a database. So you as the founder, you as the person that is driving this,
right,
you either find somebody that understands how to put those pieces together, or you're the person that understands what pieces are needed, and you go out and find all the people that can put the pieces together.
So creating that team that you discussed. So for instance, someone like me, I'm not tech savvy. I don't have 18 years worth of experience.
Yeah.
Like, what advice would you give to someone like me? I may not be wanting to do something that you have done, but if I do have some aspect of business that takes some type of tech savvy or tech guru, like how do you even build the team? Like, where do you start from? Like, how does that work?
Well, the beautiful thing is today with the internet, you have examples everywhere. Mm-hmm. So you have a problem that you want to solve. There are pieces of that solution out there.
Right.
You have to do your homework.
Right.
You have to go out and say, you know what? Because even when you meet developers, they're very technical and very focused. You have to be able to find the people that will put all of your pieces together. Give them examples of what you want it to look like.
Right.
And also be an active part of that process.
Right. So even with that being said, like what is the time frame that something like that would take for someone? Like, so for instance, you have 18 years worth of experience. So VIPsocio was not something that just happened overnight.
Yes.
It is something that is a part of your personal evolution.
Absolutely.
You understand?
Yeah.
So for me, and today we live in a world with instant gratification. Everybody wants this microwave success. And you are a person that has been diligent, you have persevered. So what would you tell any aspiring entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that have hit that challenge, those hurdles, about the execution process of building a sustainable team, but also a team that believes in you?
Okay. So part of what I learned in corporate America, I was fortunate that the whole agile, and I'll explain what it is, the whole agile development cycle came into play while I was working. And the whole idea of agile is you have this big picture that you want to paint, but you cannot paint it all at once. Like any artist, you start with a broad stroke. Like any journey, you start with one step. But in the way we develop at VIPsocio, we do an iterative process. So basically, you look at the big picture, but I carve out a small portion of that. And that's very critical. I carve out a tiny portion of that I know I can put out to my consumer and get feedback. So you have 20 things you want to put on VIPsocio or whatever project you have. But you cannot put all 20 because it'll take you 2 years to build it. But you look at what are the most critical parts of this technology and that are end to end that I can put out like a teaser. So I want to build something that can go to the moon and come back. But first I got to take off. So I'm going to test the takeoff part first. See what people tell me about it. How comfortable was it? What happened during that experience? And you get that feedback. So we build slowly. Like you build a little piece. Make sure that little piece you build actually goes out to a consumer. So they experience it and give you feedback.
So pausing there, we've done the building. We've gotten a team per se, right? At what point does funding and building the team and expanding, when does that connect?
Well, so let me expand a little bit on the team. So we talked about the technical part of the team, but there are different pieces. So you build the technology and then what? You build the technology, you have to put it out. People have to know about it. In VIPsocio, I've been so lucky. My co-founder, Ambrose Akenji, he's kind of like the other side of the brain for me. So I have two very key personalities at VIPsocio. Ambrose is one. He joined the team very early on. He, for me, is the creative side. I'm the doer, I'm the executioner, I'm the technical person. He is more of the finesse guy. He's the one that can talk to anybody. He can talk to anybody we want to talk to. Then Benedict is the third part of my team. This is my core leadership team. He's the third part of the team. That is basically, that's the strategy guy. Because after you build, you have to go to market. Going to market is 10 times more important than the technology you build. You can always find somebody to build anything for you. If it's conceivable, I'm sure there's some developer somewhere that's smart enough that can put it together for you. Now, what's your go-to-market strategy? That's where Ben comes in. So you build a team. I'm technical. I'm a doer, but I'm not that go out and interact with people person. But then you also, so Ambrose is the thinker, He looks at the big picture, But you can't get to the big picture without executing the smaller picture. Then Ben comes in with the strategy. How do we present this to consumers? How do we add value to anybody that is using your product? How do you add value? So at VIPsocio, we have that core team.
So it basically sounds like what you're saying is that the execution is really a puzzle piece that you're putting together. It's not a one-man show. Because everybody has...
Definitely not a one-man show. Unless you're trying to build a mom-and-pop business. If you're trying to build a business that is going to be $100 million, $200 million, maybe $1 billion, it's out of the question. The development team at VIPsocio, we have a huge development team. That is one piece. But going to the market, making sure the brand, people associate the brand with something that needs another piece of the puzzle. And then one key thing I want to talk about too with execution is that as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of sacrifice that you have to make.
Right.
You might think you work 9 to 5. When you decide to do your own business, you're gonna work 18 hours a day.
Right.
That's gonna take a toll on your family. It's
Right.
gonna take a toll on your kids if you have kids. And for me, I've been lucky.
Right.
And as we're talking from my perspective, I've been lucky to have a family that's supportive, a wife that is supportive.
Right.
And she's stepping up in areas where I could not help with the kids, right? So you need that support.
Right. And that's a part of the team. Again, like,
Yes.
this is the puzzle pieces. We're piecing all of these puzzle pieces together. So you're saying if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, understand that the execution part starts with a foundation of a solid team. And that starts from even your home life.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I'm on the same page.
Yes,
because a lot of people think with entrepreneurship, they can just pop out, they have everything under control, nobody else matters. And you're saying, like, you beg to differ from experience.
Yes, and it's a lonely route, because in my case, for example, I left corporate America.
Right.
Used to having lunch with a team. You're used to working in a team of 5 or 10 people.
Right.
If you don't finish something, somebody else is gonna pick up the slack.
Right.
Right. Now you pull yourself out, and you're the primary. So everything stops for you. The buck literally stops for you.
Right.
So you can't leave something out saying, okay, this person is gonna pick up the slack, or this person is gonna pick. Either you delegate it, or you're gonna do it yourself.
And what you cannot delegate, from what you're saying, is if you don't have a team. There's nobody to delegate to.
Even if you do delegate, as a small business, you're not that big in size.
Right.
Everybody has to be flexible.
Right.
To pick up any tasks that show up, and most important, to be able to learn particularly from the customer.
Right.
In this whole iterative approach to building, the customer is key.
How does the customer play a part in the execution, though? Like, you know, sometimes we as entrepreneurs that have been in this business for a while, I know for a fact that you have so much experience as an entrepreneur in different backgrounds from a young child,
Yes.
right? How exactly does the consumer play a part in the execution?
Well, in your building, you have to build in the feedback loops.
Okay.
Right? Feedback loops are very important. You start with friendlies. Like if I'm building something and I know you, I'm gonna make sure that I make you test it out.
Exactly.
But not just you, I'm gonna find 100 other friendlies that will test it out and give you friendly feedback.
Right.
A lot of times you need that thick skin.
Right.
Because it's so hard hearing from people close to you that, you know what, this thing sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're being honest. They're being honest.
Because it's your baby. It's
Yes.
your heart.
Yes.
Like, you put a lot of work, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears. So have you had to experience something like that?
Definitely. When I launched VIPsocio, I assumed I have a lot of friends, DJs. You know, around the city of Atlanta, DJs, event promoters. Naturally, I just thought, hey, every single one of them is going to use VIPsocio.
Right.
But that's not the case. One, you have to understand what value you're adding to them.
Right.
People are already operating on a daily basis,
Yeah.
doing what they do, and they're satisfied with it.
Right.
You're an outlier, you're an outsider, you're wanting to come shake that up.
Right.
What is in it for them?
Because you're thinking outside of the box,
Yes.
and you're bringing something new. And most people are so afraid
Yes.
of anything that is new or change.
Or what they have is working for them.
Right.
You might even have a vision to make it bigger for them or
Right.
to grow their businesses. But if you cannot articulate that, if your technology cannot seamlessly show them that, look, I'm going to add this much value,
Right.
they're still not going to use
Right.
it.
They're just gonna be like, okay,
so
okay.
you get rejected so much.
Right.
But you have to take that as positive or negative feedback. You have to look at it positively.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think that you seem to be so much more like passionate about the execution portion. So I just want to know, like, why is the execution portion outside of money? Because clearly when you execute properly, you will attain more dollars. I get that. But from what I have had discussions with you, you are about adding value. You're about leaving a legacy for your family. You're about empowering the Black community.
Yeah.
Like, what exactly is so important about execution and the team for you and for VIPsocio?
Well, this takes me to the part of, like, so you mentioned funding.
Right.
As a Black person, PowerPoints are very difficult to go find funding.
Right.
So prior to starting up, you probably need to carve out some funding.
Right.
To take you at least to phase 1 or phase 2.
Right.
Without needing any outside funding. Or maybe if you have some family members. So funding is critical, but you have to be able to cover those in those initial stages.
Right.
With respect to adding value to our community, there is really a need.
Right.
There's a lot that we have a lot of young people on Instagram, on Facebook that are looking for a place to monetize.
Yes.
And when we build this ecosystem and we bring all of this data together, when we put this community together, it's going to empower everybody that steps into that community or that utilizes VIPsocio.
Like, so in conclusion, it basically just goes to, once again, creating a funnel of income, jobs, and opportunity for everybody in the community.
Absolutely.
While we're also appreciating the culture.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, from what I understand, and I just want to be clear, it's all about making sure that the culture is fed to everyone in its purity.
Yeah, accelerating Afro Culture. That is
Right.
our theme. Accelerating Afro Culture, making sure that everybody, every creative, every organizer, everybody that's contributing to what is being taken from us and moved into mainstream is actually benefiting at the early stages
Right.
of their creativity.
Right. So, overcoming challenges like funding and what you like to call bootstrapping,
Yes.
which is what you did with your own company, correct?
Yeah, so you have to bootstrap. You have
Right.
you have to figure out a way to spend as little as possible to get your product out, at least the first phase of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, team building, bootstrapping, which is funding, overcoming challenges is critical and literally imperative to executing the how to bring your vision to life. I'm so happy to have you here again on the journey. I can't wait to have you back because this information is literally priceless. You cannot even learn this in a book. Experience is your best teacher. Thank you so much, Mr. Wamey, for being here, and we will see you next time, and
Thank
we'll
you,
see y'all
Tiffany.
next time. Thank
Thank you.